Hey, everybody. Welcome to Barbecue Nation. I'm JT, along with my co host, Hall of Famer Leanne Whippen, coming to you from the respective Turn It, Don't Burn It studios in Portland and Tampa. We would like to thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended, and also the good folks at the Oregon Dungeness Crab Commission. That is great stuff. If you've never had West Coast Dungeness crab, you're missing out. So check them out online, and also the good folks at Painted Hills. Well, we've got a very excuse me, we've got a very honored guest with us today, John Markus, who is an Emmy award-winning writer and director and creator of the original Barbecue Pitmasters. Fascinating guy, and we're going to get more into that. And John also happens to be in the Barbecue Hall of Fame with Miss Whippen. So I'm always
same class, I might
same
add.
class. Yeah,
That's
I'm
right,
always the third wheel. Yeah. I'm always the third wheel when we get the Hall of Famers in here. I'm like, but anyway, John, welcome to the show.
It's a treat to be here. I've listened, and I really was looking forward to this because I'm a fan of both years. So thank you for having me. And I also think that Leanne, you and I were in a very special inductee year of the Barbecue Hall of Fame.
I agree.
I mean, not to say anything bad about the years that have followed, and there've only been two, correct?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
There, two, right?
Yeah.
24. Yeah, I can do math.
You got to be able to if you barbecue, and I know you barbecue
right.
well, so you know how to do that. But that was a quite an honor and a thrilling phone call to get, and I would probably be pointed out to me right now by Meathead, because that is his legal name.
Yes.
He would say to me, "Well, you know, I got in before you."
Oh yeah, yeah.
Very competitive guy.
He is.
Yes.
He's earned the right, but oh my gosh, he really has not lost the fire.
No.
So let me ask you this. Did I see that you got your PhD?
Yes. I do have my PhD. I kneeled before Artie Davis, and
I want to do that. I want to go through the process. I haven't done it. My dad had it, and yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, that's so cool. I didn't know that anybody was really still doing that, but it's a cool thing.
Mine came probably 8-9 years ago, and it was a great honor. And along with Nicole Davenport, who's the Texas steak master and one of the people that taught me how to cook pit barbecue, we both got, I guess you say, like, knighted. It's like being knighted. And he has a whole ritual that he does, and it's serious. And I got this mop that he's written, you know, the honor upon the stick of the mop, and I have it framed in my house upstate. And there's not a person that walks by it that knows what the hell it is. You really have to stop and say, well, that's a basting mop, but not in this case. That's how you start.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, John, I wanted to ask you, how's the barbecue addiction thing coming with you?
My personal barbecue addiction, you mean?
Yes.
Well, I always say that it was started as a hobby, but now it's a hobby in need of an intervention. So addiction is a good word. I am still hopelessly addicted to the process of low and slow outdoor smoking of these proteins. I still love it, and I have these events coming up. I haul out the rotisseries I have on the trailer, one of them being a Jed that Leanne knows all about.
Yep.
And then I have another smoker that was delivered to me and never worked properly, and I stripped it out and turned it into a Jed. And it's a beautiful piece of work. I won't go into who gave me that smoker.
I know.
Or so, yeah, well, we both must not. But it was sold to me in a way that didn't seem to function. So I got that done. It was funny. I had this pit, and no one north of the Mason-Dixon line really knows how this stuff is made. Barbecue is made. They do now more so because of the TV show. I think it's helped awareness of barbecue, and now people are doing it. I can see like barbecue joints springing up. But I had this project I wanted to do to convert this smoker, And there were welders in this abandoned warehouse in Hudson, New York. Two guys who looked like they could have been part of a heavy metal band. And they welded in the dark in this big shop. And they got work, a lot of work. They're very good. And I drove the pit into the floor, onto the floor of this warehouse. And they looked at it and they said, well, what does it do? And I said, well, the purpose here is to cook meat with smoke and embers over low temperature, but I have these ideas. And that was the first time they'd ever seen a pit.
Wow.
And that was great for me to have to put into words what it should do.
Right.
And they did a fantastic job. They did a fantastic job. And it's one of my favorite things to cook on now.
That's great.
for
I like
you.
that.
Good for you. What?
So that is that the long-winded answer to am I still addicted?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
And we promise no intervention today. Okay.
Well, you're going to have to come and find me, Jeff. But
Okay. All right. I'm pretty good at finding people. but,
okay.
What prompted all this for you? What prompted your interest in barbecue and low and slow, and then graduated up to putting it on television?
It was an unexpected turn in my life's events. I mean, I've been busy writing for TV and still write. Now I write mostly for the theater. I mean, I'm primarily a writer, and I was writing a project up at my house. I had a pilot ordered with Al Franken, the alumni of Saturday Night Live,
Right.
published best-selling author, former senator. At the time, he had been a writer and a performer on SNL, and he'd also published these books, a couple of them. And I didn't know anything about barbecue. I grew up in Ohio, middle of Ohio, which now they have an awareness.
Right.
And you both of you must know people in the Midwest now who are barbecuing in the upper Midwest. Like,
Sure.
right.
It's
Not so much in Ohio, a few.
Yeah, a few.
That's just it. I don't know what it is about my state. Maybe it's the fact that it's the gateway to the Midwest, or it's the crossover. I don't know, but it is not a big deal there in any way. Couple of places in Columbus now, and I'm sure in Cleveland as well.
Yeah, Michael Simon would beg to differ, because isn't he Ohio?
Yeah,
I think he is.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
I remember as a kid, there was a place in Cincinnati called Montgomery Brothers, where you could get mail order ribs from them. They had a restaurant on the river there, and you could go and get like spares there, and all of it was parboiled.
Oh, geez.
But you love what you grow up with, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
That's what you love. And so I didn't know what this cuisine was, and Al, during one of our writing sessions, he saw a unused Weber kettle on my patio. It was just shiny and new because I didn't use it. I bought it because I had a house and I thought I should, but didn't use it. He said, "You don't know this about me, John, but I'm a grillmeister.
Wow.
Huh.
I make the best ribs in New England." And I thought, like, what? That was a very confusing title to take,
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But we set about making his ribs, which involved marinating them in hefty bags with a couple of pounds of sugar and a bushel of garlic and gallons of soy sauce.
Oh, wow.
overnight.
Wow.
And he wanted me to get that charcoal grill as hot as possible. And he cooked those in 25 minutes.
Wow.
And we sat down to eat. And I'm ignorant of what it's supposed to be. We sat down to eat, and I couldn't even chew them. And he ate all his, and he ate all mine. He didn't even care that, I'd gnawed on him a little bit. He just finished them all. And a switch went off in my head. What is this? Why is it a beloved cuisine? And who the hell can I find to show me how to do it?
Yeah.
And all research at that point pointed to Paul Kirk.
Oh,
The
sure.
great Paul Kirk. the Baron
That's
of
right.
Barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've all had dealings with Paul, right?
Right.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. He's a
And
character too.
he's oh my, he's an original. Paul's
Yes.
an
Mhm.
original. And you know, also a pathfinder. Let's call him that. I mean, his book on rubs and sauces, I think, is one of the best books, how-to books of barbecue. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I have it and I agree.
I have
It's
it.
very
I
good.
agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Simple, straightforward. This is what you can do. And so I called his home. I got the phone number because the internet was new then, but I got Paul Kirk's home phone number, and his daughter answered the phone, and she was in a terrible mood. And I introduced myself and said, I want to learn how to do this, and Paul seems to be the guy I can learn from. And she said, well, he's got me in the house all day making his damn sauce. I went, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I know it. I can't stand doing this. And look, I don't know who you are, but if you want to learn from my dad, write him a check for $500 and you can go cook with him. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And I got on an airplane, and his directions were rent a car at the airport at Kansas City and drive to Lenexa, Kansas. And at Lenexa, there's the Lenexa barbecue battle, which is the oldest contest in the US. And I was on Paul's team, and Paul's team consisted of me and Paul. He found himself a sucker.
Yeah.
And he was himself. It was like he gave me a hard time about things. He, you know, to him, what's this? He thought of me as a New Yorker, even though I'm an Ohio guy. Like, what does he know? And what, you know, and it was sort of a baptism by fire.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then I got to meet the really wonderful people associated with the KCBS.
Mhm.
Carolyn Wells was there, Artie
Oh, yeah.
Davis was there, all that crew, that original crew.
Yep.
So it was a really fortunate introduction to the field. And I'm forever grateful to Paul, but I'm even more grateful to Al Franken for serving me shitty ribs.
There you go. There you go. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back with John Markus and more stories from the barbecue wars, as far as him coming up through the ranks, you might say, on Barbecue Nation. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Nation. I'm JT, along with Hall of Famer Leanne Whippen. If you want to find us, we've got links on all the main site to get to all the different sites that Leanne and I have, and it's just barbecuenationjt.com. Yeah, you can get to her sites, her social media, my sites, my social media, all that stuff. It's all good. Well, we're talking with John Markus today, not only a Hall of Famer, but an Emmy-winning writer, director, I don't want to say theologian. What's the right term I'm looking for there, John? As far as thespian, proselytizer. Yes,
At
yes,
least about barbecue and how to
yes.
cook.
So, did your friends in the writing circles, in the media circles, if you will, did they look at you like, "What in the hell are you doing?"
You know, I have a friend, I'll tell you two examples. I have one of my oldest friends here is a movie director named Joe Rubin, and we know each other quite well. He's my eating buddy.
Okay.
And he knows food. And we in Manhattan, we go out to eat. We're always complaining about the meals we get here. Everything in Manhattan is like a disappointment, basically. I hate to say it, but you get charged a lot of money. These restaurants are touted as fantastic. You got to go, and then you go, and then it's sort of like disappointing. But
Yeah.
Joe said that when I began the hobby, he would have bet his whole bank account that I would have lost interest in a month. He couldn't believe, you know, I was bringing home some equipment. I was starting very simple. I started with a Weber Smoky Mountain.
Mhm.
And because Paul said, don't spend money. You don't need the money. Don't spend a lot of money on the meat, and don't spend money on equipment. Just learn how to do it a very simple way. Great advice. I give that advice off him. And Joe was surprised to see that the hobby grew and grew. the equipment got bigger. The
Oh,
meat
yeah.
got more expensive. You know, friends were coming up to my house to try it. But the person that was the most surprised by this sudden change in my life was my psychotherapist. He was a Freudian, so he doesn't talk much. He's no longer with us. He died at 91 years of age. He actually spoke up during one of my sessions. Imagine, I mean, I'm lying on a couch because that's old school.
Right.
And out of the middle of nowhere, he goes, "Where the hell did this barbecue thing come from with you?" And it was a great thing to hear him say, because I had to figure that out. You know, I'm paying this guy good money to lie down there and talk. And it was a good thing to think about on a personal level, that barbecue for me is about creating community. Community in your colleagues, the people who you learn from, who cook with you. Community in the people that get to come and eat food like they could not have anywhere near where they live. Yeah, people like I mostly serve Yankees.
Right. Like you said, you're well above the Manson-Nixon line. So
The Manson-Nixon line. Yes, I'm well above it. First time I've heard it called that, and that's right. And when you have people, and when people go like, "I've never had this before. I've never had anything like this," because we all know that at a certain level of this food, cooking it, and you guys do it, and we know people that do it, that it is an otherworldly experience. You get to taste things like nothing else around.
Do you find, John, that one of your greatest pleasures is when you've got friends over, whatever, and you're serving ribs, tri-tips, doesn't matter, and they smile and they look at you and they kind of mutter about how good it is, and that I find that personally, I think Leanne does too. That's one of my greatest joys in life.
I agree. I agree totally with that. I'll add to it that the night before I'm going to be barbecuing, because as we know, it's a full day affair often, the act of getting this food done. The night before, I go to bed with the smile. I put my head on a pillow knowing what I get to do the next day.
Yeah.
I can't say I feel that way at a contest.
No, probably not.
Why I don't do contests anymore.
Yeah.
But I did a party. I did a party last weekend for if I love you, I will do barbecue for you. I cooked a wedding reception for 2 people I love. Someone who I adore, her husband was having an 84th birthday party, and he likes my ribs, which are competition style. Who doesn't like those, right?
Yeah.
And it was a full day cook. I had to have 2 pits working to get the food done because there were 40 people. And it was one of the great days. It was such a good day. I mean, I get pleasure from a script, but you know, the thing about a script is it's years in the making, and it's heartbreak and disappointment. But a good smooth cook is like almost like a nice, like you're getting to take Ambien or something.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but that's true. I just
it is medicinal. I mean, I find cooking in general, it takes my mind off of things, and I find it relaxes me, and yeah, it's like chill mode, except in competition.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very therapeutic, back to your shrink, John, but I think it's very therapeutic because I get lost in that world. Everything else is shut out for a period of time.
Right.
It's like you kind of disappear because you've got so many tasks. You know, I've had people come up and stay with me during a cook at my house, and they have no idea all the moving parts in making barbecue.
Right.
It's a day of prep. It's a day of cooking. It's a day of cleanup. And it's a little dangerous sometimes to work with these hot surfaces. And
Mhm.
Sure.
you know, I'm always getting injured when I cook, but I see the little scars and burn marks here and there as my badges of honor.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's hard to communicate that to others, but
You know, I've gotten to the point that I don't even mind the cleanup anymore. I did for a long time. And
Oh,
when
I
I had
do.
well, I had a, excuse me, gosh, I had a catering company. And so I
oh,
always had people to help, clean up and all that. And I don't anymore. And I just find it buys me, if you will, an extra day of solitude or an extra half day, whatever it takes.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, I would say to you, if you gotten to the point where you don't mind cleanup, now I'll tell you where I live.
Okay.
I'll even get a plane ticket. That's how really I want help for this.
Okay. All right. Hey, we're gonna.
I steam clean my own pits. You know, I used to have someone come and do that, but I just decided, you know, it's good for me to do it. I really feel it is actually a character builder
Oh yeah.
to learn how to do it in a way that you don't, you know, you still maintain your patina and your
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, we're going to take another break. We're going to be back with Emmy-winning John Markus, Pit, Barbecue Hall of Fame. I almost said Pitmasters Hall of Fame. And we're going to talk about Pitmasters when we come back. Stay with us.
sure.
Welcome back to the nation. Again, we'd like to thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended, and little drum roll here, Leanne, pig powder.
Pig powder, my dad's dry rub. John, you know pig powder.
I do. I know and love it.
Yeah. So, yes, pigpowder.com. You can get 24 ounces right now. They were out of stock, and I'm working on some label adjustments, and then the little guys will be in. But one best rub on the planet, and a lot of competitors use it, and people in general. And you can get it on Amazon as well.
I still think you should send autographed photographs with an order of
Oh,
pit
well,
powder.
it's funny. We have John on the show now. I remember when we were shooting these pictures for Barbecue Pitmasters, and I have a big log with a hatchet in it that I had to throw over my shoulder for the photo shoot. And I'm like, how are they going to get that hatchet in there? Well, they took like a chainsaw and then grooved it and then put the hatchet in there. And I remember holding it, and it was getting heavier and heavier and heavier. Anyway.
John, what possessed you to do Pitmasters? I mean, you created it and you directed it. It was your baby. Did you see a need for it? Was it more out of love for your love for barbecue, or what was the as they would say in Hollywood, what's the thought behind this?
What's the thought behind it? Well, to really get to the thought of Barbecue Pitmasters, we got to go back to All-Star Barbecue Showdown,
Sure.
which was suggested to me and co-executive produced with me and actually starring Chris Lilly, the great Chris Lilly. Who when I was recording a radio show at Big Bob Gibson in Decatur, Alabama, with Chris. They graciously allowed me to come and interview people. I was doing a segment called Good Ribbon for Al Franken, who had a liberal radio show at the time. And I would go around the country. I took my love of barbecue, the beginning of it, and I would interview people about who has the best ribs and where we are, and talk about barbecue as part of these political segments. And at the end of the segment, Chris pitched me, why can't you do Iron Chef for barbecue? So the whole idea of a competition show hosted that way was something that Chris had suggested to me. And then together we developed it into a TV series and sold it to the Outdoor Life Network, which had a maple leaf logo in the corner. And you actually had been nicknamed the Hook and Bullet Network.
I remember.
Back in the day, and this is about a decade ago. And we did the show, which was just basically kind of a competition piggybacked on another competition. And that's how the show began. But then I decided at a certain point, Chris went off to do his things. And I decided, well, what would it be like to do a documentary style show about teams competing and follow real teams around actual contests? And that's what gave life to Barbecue Pitmasters. So, and that show is still in reruns, even
Big
though
time.
they turned it back to a competition series. And everywhere I go in the world of barbecue, I hear the same thing, which is, John, everything after season 1 sucks.
How did you connect
I
with
get
Leanne?
that too. And a lot of people want to know if you're going to bring back the old style one.
Yeah, I'd do the show again in a heartbeat, because that's the show. That's really what the pure, authentic show was supposed to be. And I loved what we did with those stories. And we were pretty true to the field, wouldn't you say, having been
Absolutely.
a star of that show, Leanne?
Yeah, it was
honest.
not scripted. It was the real deal. It was well edited because there was a lot of footage, obviously, when you're doing overnight cooks and traveling and this and that. But it wasn't like we had to win every contest. It was the journey of doing what you do, whether you win or lose. You know?
Yeah, that's right. And that gave it a drama, and you liked everybody. But the reason the network canceled it and decided to revamp it is they were upset that our members weren't winning every week. That's why they canceled it. Well, your people aren't winning. And I said, well, that's the heartbreak is part of the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
If we're going to do a real show, this is what really, and it's interesting whether they win or not.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that didn't work.
Well, John, I wasn't on a barbecue reality show. I was on a food show, which shall remain nameless, because I thought it was horrible. But when I went in to do the shoot, and we were down in Georgia and we were doing the shoot, I figured out about 20 minutes into this deal that they already had their winners picked.
Well,
on this. And I was, and when I really found that out is when I went to get the supplies for my original recipe. You had to send in 3 recipes, okay? And I went to do this, and they said, "Oh, you can't do that one because we've never seen that type of thing at a state fair." And I said, "Well, I live on the West Coast, and I've traveled all over the country many times, been to a lot of state fairs, and you could see this at any state fair." "No, you can't." So I had to do my second one. Then they mislabeled it intentionally as a breakfast item, which it was not. And in fact, one of the judges said, "Well, where's the syrup?" And I said, "There's no syrup in this thing." And so it really, kind of, well, one, it offended me, but nobody cares about that. But 2, I just thought, what a disservice to the viewer.
well, unfortunately, the worst of television, and by worst, I'm talking about the ethics and the approach to the audience that some networks have, which is they think less of people. They feel things have to be dumbed down or relatable. And no hit show has ever been developed with those condescending attitudes toward an audience. No hit show comes out of that. It shows, and the fact that our show, season 1 of Pitmasters is still there, and still, it just shows you that we never tried to manipulate anything, Leanne. I know you're going to give me the right answer here, but you were there.
That's true.
I stood up for the Pitmasters, and Brian Catalino was somebody who understood that. He had to get his show done, but we didn't have to compromise the truth ever on the show of what it takes to cook this food. And that's what made it, the grittiness of it and the heartbreak of it was really interesting. And I don't know if I've told you this, but year 4 of Barbecue Pitmasters, when it was full-on game show, it's just a friggin' game show, I asked to have a meeting with the head of the network. at Destination America, which I don't think exists anymore. It's another name now, the network. Got some.
American Destination.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I had a lunch with this gentleman, and this is the first time in my career. Of course, I've never worked on a barbecue show my whole other career, but I asked him after the salads were consumed, if he would please cancel the show.
What did he say?
He looked at me like, who's this fucking lunatic I've got? I said, look, I'm here to offer any possible ways to take what it is now and make it better. But if you guys don't want to listen to any of these ideas, please take it off the air. And he just looked at me, you know, chewing his lunch and said, no, we're not doing that. And lunch was over soon after that.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were hurting the field because it was dumbed down by people that felt like America can't get certain things. And, you know, it's typical. There are networks where they respect the intelligence audience, but I sadly say this was not one of them.
Well, some of the, I don't want to get off in the weeds. We'll do that in after hours. But one of the things I've noticed on the barbecue shows is they've become very much the same.
Yeah,
in
they're
my
very
book.
repetitive.
They're very repetitive. And yeah, you see somebody in their trailer injecting their briskets or doing whatever. And I know it works for them. That's fine. But then they go to the next trailer and the next trailer, and it's the same thing. And like you said, John, they're not really sharing cook techniques. They're not really sharing any inside baseball, if you will. It's just like, oh yeah, I do this and I'm up at 4 a.m. and blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah,
I find them kind of boring.
it bores me to death. And what they're doing, it's like, you know, back in the day when the word was Xerox, which they don't use anymore because no one's Xeroxing. But if you get to the 7th or 8th copy of something, it just starts to look a little faded and worn and you can't really read it. That's what happens. It's like, we're going to copy that original show. And let's face it, they all copy that original show. If you look at that very, very expensive Netflix barbecue show, there are a lot of elements of our show that are on it. And God bless them for doing what they're doing. And at least they're spending a lot of money in the production. But, you know, it feels like we know it all already. We know this. And there are ways to show it anew, which is what I would love to do next. If I did another one, is there are ways to like make the stakes higher, to have more fun with process and method and to learn things and to have certain experts on. But I don't know where I'm going to sell that one.
Yeah, that might be a little tough.
Yeah.
It's well, as you know very well, and I know Leanne knows, TV is a kind of a ruthless business at times. And all I think to mimic what we're saying, John, all you have to do is look at Hollywood and all the remakes they make of movies. Nobody wants to write an original script. That's the way I look at it.
They're out there, the scripts are, but nobody wants to fund it.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of the low box office and go with what you know. And by the way, we have to do that because we need to make the money to do the independent things, but they're not making the money as much anymore. So they're now that the independent side is really drying up.
Yes.
It's rare to get to see something. It happens. I'm always hopeful, but there's a lot of stuff out there that I just don't understand why they're making it.
Yeah.
Are you seeing AI impeding on your creativity in the business you're in as far as writing?
The answer to that is yes. And only because I think it's a dirty secret that it's out there. I mean, we went on strike for weeks and weeks because of AI. And we were told we got some regulation as part of our settlement, as part of our like new contract. There is some regulation, but there's often no way to know it's being used.
Right.
there's no, like, they may hire you as the original writer to go in and write a script, but they're going to put it through AI.
Mhm.
All AI does, it's hoovered up every script there is. I'm an AI,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, the things I've written are an AI, and they're going to just really like regurgitate it. It's like listen, I like a good egg McMuffin as much as anybody, but I'm telling you, you eat the other McDonald's stuff and it feels like, wait a minute, this is all the same thing
Right.
between the bread. It's the same. And I think Steve Martin used to do a joke where it's like, well, you know, for McDonald's, they just have this big, like, you know, lever that they pull and the same thing comes out.
Yeah.
He does it better. But
Yep.
yeah, no, I worry that we don't have an audience that objects to that. That's the problem.
Yes.
Don't have an audience saying like, no, 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 don't put that on me. I don't want it. But they, you know, they're okay with it for some
I
reason.
feel like they don't know.
Very possible.
Very possible. Hey, we got to take another break. We're going to come back and talk with John some more here on Barbecue Nation. Stay with us. Welcome back to Barbecue Nation. We'd like to thank Gorilla Grills, Heritage Steel, and Hammerstall Knives. There. And we're talking with John Markus today, the original wizard behind Barbecue Pitmasters. Also,
with Chris Lilly, if I can
with
add.
Chris Lilly.
With
Yeah.
Chris Lilly.
I bet
Yeah.
you I know something that you don't about Chris, John.
Please, I'd love to hear
It's
This was
related to underwear, isn't it?
Yeah, it's related to underwear.
it. Oh no, do I want to be part of this, Jeff? Really?
Let's talk about it in after hours.
Yeah, we can-
I don't know anything about that, but I'll tell you a great Chris thing, because I mean, Chris is to me one of the senseis of barbecue.
I
Yeah.
He's one of the true Zen masters of barbecue. And I once we were in a competition somewhere. I had the opportunity to cook on his team with Don McLemore and Don's friend Bill, and these are great memories, great memories. And Chris was standing alone in a tent with a brisket, and the brisket was just him and the brisket in this small tent. The brisket was lying on a cutting board, and it was coming to room temperature, and he was just staring at it. And I didn't say anything. I just watched for a couple minutes. And then finally I said, what are you doing? And Chris said this in all seriousness. He said, I'm letting it talk to me.
Okay.
It's telling me how it would like to be cooked. It's telling me the spots it'll finish first. It's telling me what kind of heat I should be using on it. And it's telling me how long it's going to need.
Are you sure
you
your
know what?
shrink
I
is?
want one of those briskets.
Yeah.
You want a talking brisket?
I want a talking brisket.
Oh, man. Next
Well,
time,
I can't tell you what brand it was. I think it might have been a Creekstone, but I think there are a few talking briskets out there.
we're next time he's on the show, Leanne, we're gonna have to bring that up.
We'll inquire about the talking brisket.
yeah.
Well, I think he'll remember that. I think he will. But I've had many great cooking experiences with he's very generous as to what he knows. I have my Jed Master because of Chris. Actually, I have a couple of them. Sometimes he'll call me and he'll say, I don't need one now, but there's one out there, and I'll go get it. You and I
have one.
You have one.
Yeah. Got to get the trailer too, though.
Got to get the trailer too.
That's
the
right.
enclosed trailer, the one that's inside the
enclosed
trailer.
trailer.
It's all coming as one, huh?
Yeah, it's got a 3-compartment sink and a hand sink and a refrigerator. I mean, you got it's like the extras that you need for when you're barbecuing.
Absolutely. And is it sitting in Florida? You know, Jeff.
Oh yeah, it's in my
That's
parking
all right.
lot, and it's in my parking lot.
It's in your parking lot.
Yep, and you can also buy my Silverado if you like. That tows it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well, see, I think, let me interject something here. See, John, I think he should get that trailer and then bring Leanne up and you two do a cook and film it either in Central Park or
Oh yeah, that
Rock
would,
Center
Central Park. I'm
or
sure they'd love that.
Times
They
Square or
sure-
wherever you could get it in. And I think that would just be a hell of a deal.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd cook with Leanne anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would cook with
Yeah.
you anywhere as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll figure this out.
So anyway,
Yeah.
um,
It's all good. I think that. Well, John,
Those are
what?
great, by the way. You know, we talk about these Jed Masters real
yeah,
quick.
fantastic.
They're amazing cookers, and it's a wonderful story. The inventor and the creator of Jed Master and why he did it and how he did it. Dennis
Ring
Unruh,
of- Yeah.
who was a paralegal or was in Kansas City. I think Dennis is. I know he's not making them now, but
Right.
he's out there. He sold the rights to make them to James Britt.
Yeah. The Ring of Fire.
He patented the Ring of Fire. He
Mhm.
knew if he could do that, he might be able to sleep while making barbecue. Now, everybody uses a version of the patented Ring of Fire. A lot of people figure out ways to adapt that to whatever they're cooking.
Right.
Right.
But you know, anything that can give you an old-fashioned taste
Mm-hmm.
is really interesting and a great way to go in barbecue. And with that, I mean, you know, on the Jed Master, it's the rendering fat falling on this hot baffle,
Yep.
which I think is black iron in most of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Jed that it's black iron and heavy as all hell to deal with. And these things are just accidents waiting to happen, but they know how to, they cook well. But I have one on a trailer, a small trailer, not an enclosed trailer, but a small trailer that Dennis made the trailer as well.
Mm.
And I had to drive to North Carolina to pick it up. It was just, you know, there was a trucker, a very nice gentleman who called me to let me know it was available. And then I sent him a check for it right away. And then the check arrived back in the mail and he called me and said, when I thought of selling it, I started to cry.
Oh.
And my girlfriend said, I don't want you crying all over the place all the time. So keep it. So he kept it. And then a year later, he called me and said, I'm ready to let it go.
Hmm.
Did he let the girlfriend go too, or did he?
I think the girlfriend stayed.
Okay. All right.
I think so. She sounded very nice, actually. But why an orange trailer? Because that was not Dennis's paint job. That was the first owner. And it was an orange trailer because the guy that first bought it, his day job was painting Popeye's chicken franchises.
Oh, no kidding.
Really?
So you used
Wow.
Popeye's orange.
He used the Popeye's orange on the Jed, on the Jed trailer.
On a
So
trailer.
Oh
and
my word.
I ain't gonna touch it. It
Yeah.
needs to stay original.
After all your adventures to this point in your life, John, what barbecue? What do you think your greatest one is? Is it Pitmasters? Is it Hall of Fame? Is it the people? What is it?
I'd have to say, I think the greatest adventure was flying to Kuwait to cook for the troops.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's got to be the greatest adventure of all. Going to a military base that was 8 miles from the border of Iraq during the drawdown in 2010, in November 2010, and cooking in 2 locations for a total of 5,200 soldiers and Marines.
Hmm.
I'll never forget that. And very emotional thing to do. And 100 of them in each location stayed up with us all night to do the food.
There you go.
Awesome.
There you go. I've been over in that area. It's not what you'd call a garden spot.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's like something sprung up in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
You know, it's amazing what we're capable of doing, you know, this country. And those folks have to be fed every day. And this was the first time in a year that they had gotten a home cooked meal.
Yeah, those MREs get a little
Old.
old. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it, Leanne. They get a little old.
Yeah, they do.
I was going to put
even
some other adjectives in there.
Even when you go to the mess hall and eat, you know, and it's amazing how they're able to feed all these people, but the mess hall where they're preparing the food I think they have to work from frozen. They work from
Yeah.
just just the whole, Herculean task.
Mm.
But we were cooking at Camp Buring, and the sun was coming up, and it was 110 degrees at like 5:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And soldiers carrying their automatic weapons were walking on the horizon toward us because it was time to either help or to get to, participate or even line up for the food. And that's what happened. And that's a sight I'll never forget.
Oh
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. John, you're going to stick around for after hours for a few minutes?
Whatever you want, I'm here.
Oh,
Okay.
that's great.
All
Are
right.
you in Midtown right now?
I'm on West 72nd Street.
Okay.
See, I told you I could find you.
Yeah, you can find me. Well, that's narrowing it down, Jeff, but you need a little more than that.
Well, that cuts it down by at least 3,000 miles from where I live. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. Thank you, John Markus, for being with us. You are definitely on the invite list anytime, any place. That's for sure. And Leanne and I have got to go, but John is going to stick around for after hours. So remember our motto here: turn it, don't burn it. Go out, have some barbecue, cook it, and have some fun. Take care, everybody. Welcome to After Hours, and we've got the legendary John Markus with us today, and it has been quite a pleasure and honor to talk to him. And we will do it more and more, I know, as the time goes on. Couple of fun questions I start with here, John.
Jeff, am I allowed to cuss more on After Hours?
Yeah.
Oh,
After
absolutely.
Hours is wide open.
Wide open, baby.
So the times earlier when I said shitty and fucking, those got beat.
The only one I made note of was the fucking. So I had to.
Okay.
He's writing stars on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I got a little note and the time, and David will bleep that out. And other than that, everything's good.
Okay.
So, if Leanne declared you, put it that way, supreme ruler of barbecue for a week, what would you, as supreme ruler, decree?
That all barbecue should be cooked over wood.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
All barbecue should be cooked over wood. I know it's harder. It might cost a little more, but it is barbecue and it needs to have that kind of respect. That's a top one.
Sure.
Good.
Now, here's one that's right near and dear to your heart. How would you change, if any changes, food shows on television?
One change I'd make is cancel every fucking one of them. They, honest to God, they suck. And they're like, they're
all the same.
all before. That's right. They're all the same. More Leanne on TV.
Yeah. Well, that's happening actually shortly. Yeah.
Leanne, where are you going to be? Where am I going to see you?
Oh, well, Jeff and I did Grilling in the Green, and it's we're cooking barbecue, and it's in tandem. Well, it's like a golf lifestyle barbecue show.
Oh, fantastic. What a great idea.
Yeah, so it's fun.
So it'll be Golf News Network, who's gentleman named Ryan Ballingy owns it, and he's a friend of mine, and he's just cleared Roku, Amazon, Apple, Hulu, and YouTube TV is coming up. So they'll have their own channel on that, and we're part of the lineup. So
that's a great idea. That's a great mixing of the two.
Yeah, it's not competition. It's just, just having fun at the grill and, chit-chatting.
And then we do a profile of somebody in the world of golf, not necessarily tour pros, but people behind the scenes or what have you. And I didn't tell Leanne this, but yesterday I did another show with the radio version with Charlie Reimer, who's a friend of mine, ex-tour player, and now he's works for Hilton, and he's in there's a place called the Macklemore down in North Georgia, big resort. They're just finishing it, and we've been invited to go there, hang out with Charlie and play some golf and check everything out. So
love that.
Yeah, so it's all good.
I'm going to invite John.
Well, you can invite
Marcus.
John. That would be good.
John Marcus is going to
John
come.
is
Do you play
around.
golf?
Yeah.
Do you play golf?
No, my brothers do, but I've only been out. No, the answer should be no.
That's
But
fine.
you should say yes, because that's how you get the invite to
Yeah.
go.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Does it mean that I'll be playing golf?
You
No,
can drive the cart.
you can drive the cart.
I'm a great kart driver.
There
Yeah.
you go. Okay.
And your choice of beverages. So
Yeah,
there you
okay.
go.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, John, if you could cook for and then dine with a historical figure, can be anybody in history. Who would it
Alive or
be?
dead?
Alive or dead? And who would it be, and what would be on the menu?
I would want to cook for Sigmund Freud.
Hmm.
Yeah, you got a definite tie there with your.
I have a tie. I feel like I'm honorary, you know. And also we share a love of fine cigars, but that didn't end well for Sigmund.
No.
No.
Well, it could have been the 5 pounds of Coke at one time too that Siggy had
Yeah.
a problem with.
Well, that stuff I don't do, thankfully, but a fine Cuban cigar. But I would like to cook for him, so to talk about just, you know, our love of good food and its meaning in our life, and he'd be a good guy to have those talks with. And you know, then he'd send me a bill, but shit, I'd pay it. I would pay it.
Yeah, but it would be 20 francs at the 1901 rate. So you're good. You know, you're good.
I'm making sure my twin brother was trying to reach me, and I hung up on him.
Oh, no problem.
That's all right.
What's one thing you miss about your 20s?
Ooh. I miss my lack of wisdom.
So you think you were smarter when you were 20 than you are now?
I mean, I had a lack of wisdom in my 20s, and I missed being ignorant.
I see.
I
That makes
miss my
sense.
ignorance. Yeah. I miss, like, because I was charging into things to do things, and I wasn't scared.
Yeah.
Now I have the wisdom, and it's like, oh, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
You know,
You know.
whoever coined that term, ignorance is bliss, they had it figured out.
It's a great saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that's a slightly cynical answer, but you know, definitely that. And I miss the way I slept.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. John, do you remember the first thing you got in trouble for as a kid, if you ever got in trouble?
I sure did, and involved my twin brother, who we were just talking about. I got in trouble. We liked ordering things from the Johnson Smith catalog. It was a novelty catalog out of Indiana, I think, where you get all these little pranks and jokes and things.
Mhm.
And I remember my twin brother and we bought a fake dog poop. Incredibly realistic.
Yeah.
And I remember they called it Doggy Done It. And we ordered a Doggy Done It. And we were in Mr. Morris's math class. That was 6th grade. And he wasn't there yet. The class was full, ready to go. And Stanley put the Doggy Done It on Mr. Morris's desk. And when Mr. Morris sat down, I said, while you were gone, a Great Dane was here. And he didn't react at all. And huge laughs from the class, which is all that mattered. We got a big laugh. He said, I'll see you boys after class. And we got paddled.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was back in the paddle days.
Back in the paddle days. And let me tell you something. I mean, I don't want to sound like, you know, so old school. And I don't want to sound like back to corporal punishment is what we need to go. I don't really feel that necessarily, but
you learned your lesson.
I sure learned it.
Yeah.
I still can feel that sting when he gave it to us. So,
oh, brother,
I didn't put any more dog poop on any other desks.
I'm over 60 years old, and a couple of years ago at Christmas, we had a guest here who shall remain nameless. But I found on the internet a a human version of that. And when they got up from their chair to go to the restroom, I put it in their chair. And when they came back, they actually sat on it, and then they hopped up, and it was a great laugh. I don't think they'll ever come back here, but
Oh,
it was fun. Um, what's the biggest change you think that should be made in food advertising, John, if any?
the elimination of highly professional food stylists.
Oh my God, my sister's gonna kill you because that's what she does, you
That's
know.
what she does.
That's right. Okay, with the exception of your sister.
Yeah,
So but your sister's one of the good ones, and I'm
yeah,
sure
there you go.
she makes things look real as well as
Yes.
appetizing and appealing.
Mhm.
But I think that I'm in trouble with that one. I gotta.
I want to hear the truth anyway. I want to hear
Yeah,
it. I want to hear it.
Well, I think that when food is starting to look like, I'm never going to go to McDonald's and get a burger that looks like it does on the commercials.
Oh,
ever.
hell no.
Correct.
That's what I mean. I'm referring to
Yeah.
that kind of food styling. Because we
Okay.
use food stylists on the shows. We
Mhm.
had people come in on the shows, and they help make things look a little better. You
Yeah.
sometimes need it. But yeah, it's dishonesty. It's like,
I
it's like
agree.
in my profession, working on these TV shows, these comedies, laugh tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food styling and laugh tracks are the same. And let's throw that one in there with it too. And then, you don't have as many live comedies anymore, but there are ways to what they call sweeten a TV show, where the laughter represents the laughter that you had in the studio when the joke was initially heard.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And we worked really hard to not bump it up, gin up the laugh track. We made sure, but most shows don't do that. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were saying in the regular show about McDonald's, you liked, and you just mentioned it about, you like Egg McMuffin and all that, and the Steve Martin joke. The one, and I agree with that, but the one that gets me is Taco Bell. I mean, their food costs have to be negligible because they've only got 7 ingredients that they make everything out of,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
And my sister is a food stylist for Taco Bell.
Oh, there you go.
Is she really?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you just stepped in it, Jeff.
I did.
Now I feel a little better.
Where's that
Oh, God.
doggy
You gotta
do
send
you
me her
had?
number so I can call her and apologize.
It's all right. She'll be fine.
John, what's the hardest thing you ever did, like professionally? Absolutely number one thing that sticks out for you that goes, damn, that was tough.
Well, when I say this work was hard, I don't mean to deny the fact that there was joy sometimes and a great sense of accomplishment, because I think anything worth doing is hard.
Yeah.
Anything worth doing is going to be hard. So I would have to say, my week to week on the Cosby Show was very challenging, because we were working with a moving target, often with the story and the writing. We had to punch up the show until the last minute. We were constantly, and the hours were relentless. So that's what I'd say.
Sure.
That was.
It's also people's expectations, because it was just so popular and they expected this, the same excellence every single show. And that had to be stressful.
Yeah, my mentor in writing comedy, a guy named Earl Pomerantz, he was the showrunner to begin with on the show before he left. And we would just kind of stumble across the finish line, and the audience would like it, and everything was great about what we got done. And Earl would turn to me at the end of the taping and he'd say, our reward for doing this is we got to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, because if you're doing something right, you're going to be asked to do it again. So it is about our sense of personal best and excellence. And yeah, but you get a lot out of that, until you get to be a certain age, and then you don't want that anymore.
No. What is your favorite movie? I'll just put it that way.
Oh my God. I'm gonna name a couple
Yeah.
because I can't do it.
Mhm.
And here's the way I judge this. If I'm ever walking by the TV and it's on and this movie's on, or I'm scrolling and I get it, I'll stop and watch. It's it can be a film where any moment is a needle drop moment. Anything that's in the film will get you to sit down and keep watching. Well, the top one for me is The Wizard of Oz.
Mhm.
It's like it was gifted to us by other creatures from somewhere else. It's such a it's a movie about innocence. It's a humanitarian film,
Yeah.
humane. It tells a beautifully crafted story, and it was all done without CGI.
I know. Isn't that
They
something?
put a tornado in there. They use a hose. They use the lady's hose to make a tornado.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I defy anyone to find a better tornado anywhere than
Oh no. No.
What's
I
another one?
actually, another one would be the movie Harvey, a black and white movie made in 1950 from I think it was 50, from the Broadway play that ran for 3 years and starring Jimmy Stewart. And his co-star was a 6 foot tall invisible rabbit.
Yep. I still have one. Well, it hangs with me in the studio. And
You still got the rabbit. Well, Jeff, one of the reasons that character saw the rabbit is he did a lot of drinking,
Yeah. Well, I kind of cut most of that out of my life, but
Good.
it's those goddamn flashbacks you get. So
Yeah, that's a bad side effect.
That's a
But
bad
it is
side.
a beautiful movie, and it's about things that I love. And there are a couple of monologues in that film that get
I'm
me.
gonna have to see. Is it still out there where you can see it?
Oh yeah.
You can look at it on Amazon Prime. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that's one of the places.
I'll look around.
Yeah, black and white and old fashioned. And it's like he's in a small town that reminds me of my town as well.
What's the first thing you think about, John, when you get up in the morning? Besides how much you hurt?
How much I heard and how much I could use another couple of hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the first thought that comes to me, I got another one. I just think I got another one. I got another chance.
Another
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I really think that. I think like, oh fuck, I'm up. And and I'm ambulatory and I'm on food.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty good. Everything's checked out recently. So I apparently am in operating order. But I don't want to be as corny as saying I feel gratitude. Because I'm Jewish. You don't always feel gratitude.
That's good.
But I do feel some.
Okay, we got about 3 more here for you.
I am getting to the age though where occasionally I wake up and go, where am I?
Yeah.
There's that age.
Yeah.
I'm almost scared to ask this one. Boxers, briefs, or thongs? Or you can go commando. I don't care.
First of all, why the hell is thongs? Why would you include?
Yeah, that's a recent add-on. I don't know why.
Well, that all kind of stemmed from that Chris Lilly interview. Not that he was wearing. No, Chris wasn't wearing a thong, but it just my mind just kind of rolled from that one. So,
it all depends on where my weight is. So I tend to gravitate toward, it's a mixture of it. They're called boxer briefs.
Right.
That's the popular answer these days.
Yes.
Yeah. I need the combo, I think. And you know what? There's a term in underwear that I need to bring up right now that I just learned. And because I like going online and buying I treat myself to something fancy. But this fancy, I won't name the brand, sometimes the front just gets a little bit kind of like shriveled, like the band.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you have this problem? And
I'm here.
well, I mean, and it has a term. It's called baconing.
Really?
It's called baconing. When the front band of your underwear, that's why I was talking to him.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And, yeah, baconing. So I want to leave your audience with that. I just love the term.
I like that term.
Yeah.
I'm going to really,
you don't have any problems with baconing, Leanne, do you?
No baconing.
No, I'm gonna really think twice about ordering a BLT though next time.
Yeah, I know.
If John, if you were an animal, what animal would you be and why?
Oh my God. I would be a bald eagle.
There you go.
And or as we used to pronounce it back in Ohio, a bald eagle.
Eagle?
You say eagle in Ohio. In central Ohio, not eagle, eagle.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is because when I have one up at my house, up in the Hudson Valley, and I notice that whenever he comes out and lands somewhere, all the birds leave.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They all go away.
That's a nice feature.
It's a good feature. You get kind of lonely as a bald eagle. But that's a nice feature. Also, I love the way they fly. So I think I would be one of those. I'll tell you what I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be a horse.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I had a lot of experience with horses, and I think I would pass on that.
Yeah.
What's so bad about a horse? Just because people ride you?
I don't mind.
They're kind of dumb.
I don't mind but it's more because those legs are fragile. Stuff can happen.
Yeah.
And also you're primitive. You're quite primitive as a horse. You have a lot of things from, I took equestrian for about 8 months when I lived in Los Angeles, and I was starting to jump. And don't ask me why I did this, but I hadn't discovered barbecue yet. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm on the horse and we're jumping like 4 or 5 inches. And suddenly the horse rolled over. And I got thrown clear so it didn't roll on me. And I went up to the instructor as soon as I dusted myself off and said, okay, why did this happen? And he said it happened because you held the riding crop too high. And when a horse sees it out of the corner of their eye, they think it's a snake. And their instincts are to roll over on the snake.
That's interesting.
I think that's bullshit. But anyway.
It might be. It might be,
I spent 40 years with horses and I've never heard that. So.
Well, there you go. I'm glad I got to tell you that story.
There you go. Okay, last question. What would be your last meal on death row?
Oh my God. Well, the main protein would be the 123As, the beef short ribs, the whole plate flat short ribs. Okay. Cooked by Leanne.
Oh, thank you.
I'd want Leanne to cook them.
I'd bring a bazillion of them so you wouldn't have to complete that death row sentence.
Bring me a lot. I would just like to have mashed potatoes with that and no vegetables.
There you go. And I will tell you, John, she makes a kick-ass vanilla wafer cheesecake.
Yeah,
you have to try that.
I'm in. I would have that.
So I'll make that for dessert. Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. John Markus, Emmy Award-winning writer, Barbecue Hall of Fame, pitmaster. God, I'm really glad we got a chance to have you on the show. I've had so much fun today.
Oh, good. My pleasure. It's really good. And I have to tell you that, the whole time that your picture was up there and I'm looking at these ribs behind you, I just got so hungry.
See, now you've got a hankering for ribs. So
I really do. Right. This is subliminal. It really works like hell. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't call Al Franken for his ribs. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Al to this day is so pissed at me. He said, "You've made a career out of trashing my ribs."
And you continue to do so.
I will not stop. It's one of my great pleasures.
With great glee, I might add. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. John, thank you. Leanne, thank you. And we'll be back next week with another edition of After Hours here on Barbecue Nation. Go out, have some fun, cook some barbecue. Remember our motto, turn it, don't burn it. And please take care and be kind.